We're leaving Cuenca and going on a 2-week adventure before we return to Cuenca for Snow's return dentist appointment. Because of the emergency dental detour, we're backtracking to see several big points of interest we missed in this area of Ecuador, like Baños, El Pailon del Aplo, which is possibly the most epic medieval waterfall ever. Cotopaxi, the Earth's second highest volcano. Quilatoa, a massive turquoise volcano crater lake with a cool indigenous vibe. Chimborazo, the planet's closest place to the sun and furthest from the Earth's core, home of the oh-so-cute vicuñas. And all the while we'll be showing the countryside, small towns along the way, the fascinating indigenous culture, Ecuadorian food, these crazy winding landslide muddled Andean roads, and of course, anything interesting we encounter along the way. Like today, we have a 3.5-hour drive to an amazing, I doubt you'll guess it, but please leave your guess in the comments right now, farm stay. I found this place on the Google Maps, and well, we've been traveling through all this beautiful South American countryside with all these different types of farms and fincas, and we thought, what an opportunity to see an Ecuadorian alpaca permaculture farm up close. One look at the reviews, and we can't wait to get there.
We have pulled out of Cuenca. We are heading back up into the rural farm areas of Ecuador. Unfortunately, we will have to go back to Cuenca in about 2 weeks for a follow-up dentist appointment. If you missed our last episode, our visit to the Amazon got cut short and our plans kind of got tossed up in the air and all mixed up because I had to have an emergency dental visit. So we had to drive all the way to the city, and now we'll be doing some backtracking to go get the things we missed between here and the Amazon. And our first stop is literally going to be a farm, we hope. So we've been driving on this flat spot for a couple of miles now, and you would think that we were just driving through a valley. But no, we're driving at 11,660 feet elevation. There's a flat spot on the top of these mountains, Curt.
Huge farmland up here. It's crazy. No trees, hardly at all. All right, we're coming through the town center of another town. Did you catch what town this is?
El Tambo.
El Tambo. And one of the things that we've noticed about Ecuador in total, and in this area specifically, is there is a lot more indigenous dress. And as you come through these little towns, a lot of them have murals and different paintings and things that kind of depict, the dog just ran out in front of us. They have a lot of pictures, murals, things like that that kind of depict what the town or the city or the community is good at. So for example, this one, they make a lot of clothes, sewing. Also in this area is famous for their trains. And so it's just kind of unique when you can identify kind of what they specialize in. I also love as you come through these little towns, the little city centers are mixed with farms and agriculture. So if there's a little patch of grass, you might see some corn growing there or maybe a cow grazing just past a bull. And you can see these are kind of simple and rustic houses, but the vegetables and the produce are absolutely beautiful. So yeah, really enjoying the scenery countryside that Ecuador has to offer. Now the big question is Snow gonna eat a cuy?
Are you?
I guess the big question, that's something.
No, we haven't decided.
It's something that's really kind of up for debate. Some of you guys have been telling us to try it. Some of you have been telling us, no, don't try it.
You gotta tell them what cuy is for the ones that weren't following back then.
And if you don't know what cuy is, it's a, what is it?
It's a guinea pig. They eat guinea pigs here.
It's a little guinea pig.
I don't know if I can do it.
And so we're kind of conflicted. It's kind of a delicacy here. It used to be sort of a normal thing, but nowadays it's more of a delicacy. But we do see them roasting on the side of the road all over the place. And so I think Snow's a no.
Now, what do y'all think? Should Curt try it or not?
Yeah, we'll give you guys some time. We'll get your feedback. And we definitely need a vote. Should Curt try it? Snow's a definite no.
I don't think I can do it, guys. We had guinea pig as a pet when we were little. I can't do it.
Something you guys may have noticed is, number one, Snow's driving. Number two, the road has kind of gone away in terms of quality. And number three, we're up in the clouds and the rain. So
never fails.
Good timing for me bailing on the driving. Hopefully we won't have her drive that long with the tooth and all, but we'll see. It's a short drive today, so we'll see how it goes. But the irony. All right, I'm not going to vlog much about this other than to say, here we go again. Another foggy, rainy, chattery road.
Lots of potholes.
And we're also starting to see lots of fresh mudslides along the way. Nothing big and major, but it's another day in the clouds in Ecuador. All right, it looks like they've just cleared the opening, but this is a huge slide. The biggest one by far we've seen. Almost all the way across the road. They just had like a half a lane cleared.
Around the curve, and there it was.
Yeah, it's crazy. Here comes a big semi. Slow down, buddy. And there's even some more smaller mudslides up along here. We just need to be cautious and on the lookout. We're almost to our campsite, so we're almost there, so fingers crossed. All right, whenever we get an open view, the clouds clear. It is green, lush, and pretty up here, guys. But unfortunately, we haven't been getting too many peaks, and it looks like this little peak is just about over right up here around the corner. So we can kind of see down into the valley into our destination. Alusa? Alausi. So we're headed down in the valley, and the next thing is to make sure that we get secure our camp spot.
Find a camp.
Find our camp spot. All right, we don't see many train tracks in Ecuador, but this little town right here is kind of famous for their train tracks. All right, this is a little bit of a tricky entrance. We came in through this town, and now they've kind of got us winding down through, snaking down through these little houses and narrow road and along this mossy wall. But it's starting to open up now and look a little more promising. For a while we weren't sure, so. Keep going.
Things got a little sketchy on our drive down to the campsite that we wanted. And it was a long, narrow, curvy dirt road. And when we got to where we wanted to camp, there didn't seem to be anybody there. It looked closed. There was no way to contact the place. So you missed all the excitement of us having to back down that road. Maybe 400 yards, Curt?
Yeah.
Down a windy road. Curt directed and I drove. And we made it to our second option. We drove down there. And we just got settled in, and it started raining pretty hard, so we'll have to show you this place a little bit later. But for now, what are you up to, Curt?
Well, after another white knuckle drive through the fog and mudslides, I'm gonna make a little lunch. It's a late lunch. It's about 2 o'clock, but we're gonna have a little spaghetti, something soft for Snow's sore teeth.
Teeth, yeah.
Yeah. And we're going to try to get a hold of the owner to see if we can get this situation figured out. Because it'd be nice to be able to do some stuff here. It's beautiful, but we'll see.
Yep. Good news, everybody. So the second camp, there's nothing terribly wrong with it except for the owner is not here and was unable to give us the Wi-Fi password. So we kind of depend on Wi-Fi quite a bit. Plus, the first original place Curt had scoped out and was super excited about. Well, we just WhatsApped with them, and they said, come on down, they'll open up the gate. So that's good news.
The big thing on the Wi-Fi, guys, in case you're wondering, is we have to do some research. So we don't exactly know where this stuff is, how much your tickets, how to access it, all the logistics. And we've got a big journey going on here for the next couple of weeks.
Next couple of
so
days.
We got a lot of things we need to research.
So Wi-Fi was important. Plus, I think Curt was a little bit more excited about the next place. Vanna, she could care less as long as she can sit on the dash. But we're packing up and moving. We were only here about 10 minutes. So now that we're going back to our original campsite, you get to see the road that I had to back down. This is it. Which in a car or even a pickup truck or an SUV, not a big deal. In a 23-foot long giant van, this was a tricky backup. But here we are.
We're at this beautiful little farm stay. We had a great night's sleep. But honestly, as you guys know, it was raining and cloudy on the way in. But good news, the sun actually decided to show itself today. And we also have other good news. Monica, the owner, the developer, the creator, the muscle behind the scenes, is gonna tell us a little bit about this place. So you guys are in for a treat. I can't wait for you to see this. I've already been walking around and kind of got a tour, and I kind of dork out on this kind of stuff, so I hope you guys enjoy it. So this is Monica. So Monica, what is the name of this place?
This farm is called Eagle Condor Farm.
Why'd you name that, and what's this place all about?
It's based on an ancient prophecy of the eagle and condor, which is a 500-year-old prophecy where the northern or westernized culture and the southern cultures or indigenous cultures were going to reunite and share knowledge again. And that's what this is about.
We found this as a farm stay place. You have a farm and you have a stay.
Yes.
So let's talk about the stay part first.
Literally, I opened up my old garage studio apartment here in the first structure I built, which is Wattle and Daub Natural Building Technique garage apartment.
And we're going to talk about Wattle and Daub, guys, because we've been talking about mud huts for a while as we passed them, and we've been humbled. So we'll talk about that later.
So I lived in the garage apartment, and since I've unoccupied it 3 years ago, I did a bathroom addition, and I made it an Airbnb.
Okay, so Airbnb.
Yeah, and people find my lodging space on my website.
Okay.
On Google and on Airbnb.
And then you also welcome overlanders.
Yeah, I do.
Limited space though, right?
Yeah.
And call first for sure.
I have, the option to camp.
Okay.
So there's a fire pit and picnic table access. You have access to the whole farm. You can walk around. I have alpacas. People like taking photos with them, and I have geese and ducks. And it's just a very peaceful place. I've got a lot of native birds. You hear them all the time, and it's nice and a place to connect and kind of decompress.
You started talking about the farm. Let's talk more about the farm. This is like some kind of polyculture or permaculture. How do you describe it? And give us a short view of what that looks like.
Yeah, it's from the inception. It started as a permaculture.
Permaculture, okay.
So I just had raw land with some fruit trees that were already here. So I basically inherited this land in 2010 when my father passed away, and I was living in Los Angeles, working as a full-time nurse, and I came across permaculture and I fell in love with it, and I decided to further my education in Australia. I got my teacher training certificate, and I did a second permaculture design course. And then I just practiced my final design project, which was approved. I started to execute the design slowly over the last 9 years.
Yeah.
This property, and it's been great. It's been really intense, but also fun. I have food forests, I have swales on contour, I have vermiculture, I have banana circles, I have gray water systems, black water evotranspiration septic tanks. I have everything designed in zones, and I have polyculture. So I have a variety of annual and perennial gardens and food forests, and I have ducks, geese, alpaca, and dogs, cats, and chickens. My goal was to not get into debt, so what I did was I spent the first 2 years straight here doing the basics, which they teach us in permaculture, is the access points, so the whatever you're going to walk on and whatever the cars or the tractors are going to be on, and the swales, because you're doing a lot of earth moving, and that was to, the swales are to recharge the groundwater and to grow trees on. So it did take me 9 years because I was going back and forth. After those initial 2 years, I started to spend time in the States as a travel nurse, and then come back here and spend the money doing another big build or project.
So you were working and building this, and you were working in another country and building at the same time.
Yeah, I've been nonstop working for 9 years.
Wow, absolutely amazing.
Yeah, and I finally hit a plateau. Now that I have the lodging, and I have the last structure that I built is a earth bag structure, a 2-story earth bag round structure. I live on the top floor, and on the first floor is a cafe. I have a small farm to table cafe where I can do my workshops and also just serve meals for the hosts. I do a breakfast included, a farm to table breakfast, and I can make food from there and sell to the public as well.
So what's this about the workshops?
I started to finally host workshops last year.
Yep.
Because I had now lodging, and I was more organized to do it. I'm planning on doing, which was the original plan, to do 2 permaculture design courses per year, one in Spanish for Ecuador and Spanish-speaking people, locals, and a second one for foreigners in English.
Okay. And so you were telling me earlier that sort of part of your mission is to bring some of the technology or the techniques from the Western culture here, as well as bringing some of the customs or cultures or technologies or traditions that you have from Ecuador to the Western world as well.
Yes. So permaculture has its roots in indigenous practices. As permaculture has evolved too, we've also, incorporated different techniques that, let's say that are not used in this area. As far as the local wisdom, which is very rich and ancient, there's a lot of things that I've learned here that techniques I have not picked up in permaculture design course, and a lot of it is just ancient wisdom, herbs, different things for different ailments for humans and animals. I've learned how to manage parasites in my alpacas, for example. I mean, huge for me, because animal care is important, as we all know, in a farm, but I don't have a lot of access to local veterinarians who are familiar with alpacas.
Yeah.
So I've had to take on a lot of that stuff on my own.
I can't wait to go out and touch them and pet them and play with them. I hope they're like that. But tell me more about the alpacas.
The alpaca, well, I've always, alpacas are extremely adorable.
They are.
They're very goofy too, and very curious and intelligent. They know their own names. I basically came across an alpaca when I went to a big farm fair with animals being sold, and I saw this male alpaca. I fell in love with him and brought him home. I didn't know anything about alpacas, but I said, okay, I'm going to learn. So I dove into reading about them. But what I started with was the fact that in permaculture, any element that we incorporate into the design plan of the farm it has to have multiple purpose or use, so that it makes sense. So an alpaca, for example, when you bring in an alpaca, I thought the alpaca is valuable for its fiber. So it's hypoallergenic, it's very soft and warm, and it comes in very colors. And so my plan is to do alpaca workshops from A to Z, so from shearing all the way to yarn making. So that's in the works. And then also people just love alpacas. They've become very popular over the recent years. And so for tourism, people want to come and take photos of them. They also provide compost, so poop, right? So
Their poop is very valuable. They poop gold.
yeah, they poop gold. So you can make a compost tea out of their poop. You could also just use their poop directly into the soil and gardens because it's not hot, and so you don't have to make it decompose. And they are sold for meat as well in the Andean cultures. They're very low cholesterol, lean meat, so it's actually very healthy. A lot of diabetic people are into eating alpaca meat because it doesn't seem to be, very fatty and stuff. And also, so their the grass that they eat becomes poop, which is green gold, and becomes their fur. So
there you go.
Yeah, that's the magic of alpacas.
The magic of alpacas. All right, so I have one more question for you, Monica, and that is, tell me a little bit about the sustainability of this place. Like, is this truly self-sustaining, and how?
Yes, that was always the goal, is to reach, nothing is 100% sustainable. However, the goal is to get as far along that path as possible. And so at this point, now that I've built the number of structures, I have my living structure and my cafe, my lodging, which is also a garage, and a house that for my worker that helps me take care of everything here. I grow everything I grow either is sold in the cafe, sold locally in the local restaurants. I personally, consume or my animals. So I grow everything, all the grains for my chickens, the alfalfa for my alpacas, and for my geese. Everything is pretty much grown here and consumed here. Let's see, I don't have, dairy or that kind of thing, so, which I don't consume a lot of, but that, I buy outside of here. But I have, annual gardens that I consume from. And then it's a closed loop system because nothing is wasted. So I either, any of the vegetable waste or animal waste, goes right back into the system. So it goes to the compost pile, or it goes to the worms, or it goes to the chickens, and even my paper and carton, that kind of stuff, gets composted. So yeah. There's very little waste here. I also have solar down in the cafe space, composting toilet in the garage for the campers. I have the gray water system, so the water gets used again. I collect rainwater as well, and then I'm creating, replenishing the groundwater over time with the swale systems, as well as I don't contaminate with my black water evotranspiration tanks. They're kind of like wetland sort of systems for black water.
Yeah. So
nothing's contaminating anything here. And, even the animals that pass away, we bury them here, and, they become part
of the soil.
The soil, and everything is just becoming a tighter and tighter closed unit, which is really nice. And we've reforested trees. We planted over 2,000 trees, gifted by the government at the time when the government was doing a reforestation project. So we did two layers of windbreak trees around the entire perimeter of the farm. We have spring water for irrigation, so we're not using the city water, and of course we have the rainwater collection. So we're pretty much getting very close to a high percentage of sustainability, financially sustainable with the lodging. I think as a tourism project, this is great. Also, which is bringing in people from out of town and travelers that come through here, and they provide an income for me as well. So that's also becoming more and more financially sustainable.
So little bits and pieces of revenue streams everywhere, right?
Yeah.
Fruits, the fibers from the alpacas, the vegetables, and also the classes, the teachings that you do.
And then you also have the tourism aspect as well. So
yes, and ultimately it's really has been about lowering my costs too, because the more sustainable I become, the lower my costs get. And now with the tourism aspect and the lodging, the more the income is increasing. So I'm well on my path to financial sustainability.
So yesterday, Curt was pretty much flying solo here at this finca. I was recovering from my dental mess. Still a little sore today, but much, much better. It's time to leave this little place. But I told Curt I was not leaving till I walked out here to get a closer look at the alpacas. Let's go see them. If you like this video, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that notification bell so you guys know when we put out new videos. And don't forget, you can always follow us over on Instagram to see what's going on in between videos. Cheers, guys!